11 Arts. Let us continue with the syllabus. Today I am going to begin the new chapter, chapter 6, which deals with the dynamics of society of ancient world. First we will discuss about the social system of ancient Greece. Then we will discuss about the social system in ancient India. Now Greece, we have already learned about the city-states in the previous lessons. So we know that it was one of the oldest civilizations of the world. Now in Greece we have learned about the emergence of the republican type of government for the first time in world. But at the same time we see that there was a presence of slave system, slavery in Greek society. So it was quite contradictory. In republic, when it is said that everybody has the equal rights, at the same time the slave system, slaves who were mostly the defeated soldiers in the war, they had no freedom. They were treated as subordinates. So there was no equality in the society. So it was quite contradictory. Now why did the Greeks need the slaves? Now we have to remember that when we have learned about the periods in the ancient Greek civilization, we have learned about the age of Pericles. Pericles, one of the greatest administrators of ancient times, who belonged to Athens and who was the who is supposed to be the protagonist of modern democratic system. So during the rule of Pericles, Greek culture in Athens had reached the highest peak. So during that time we have learned that the Greek people were very much busy with their cultural development. Like they used to discuss about various kinds of philosophy, then the literature, poetry, music, painting, all these things developed in ancient Greek civilization. So they needed time for these matters. For that reason, it is said that they needed some people who would be doing their daily work, and they would be free to discuss about all these matters or develop different kinds of art, literature, etc. So the Greeks, they needed the slaves so that they could utilize their free time in several kinds of discussions and develop their culture. So that was the need, and they got the slaves from the defeated soldiers, obviously the defeated soldiers in the battles and their families. Then sometimes very poor peasants or farmers, they used to sell their children as slaves. Sometimes the children of the slaves, they became slaves automatically. It was an hierarchy that the children of the slaves would become slaves. Then there were pirates. As we know that Greece is a peninsula, there is sea on the on its surroundings. So there were sea pirates, and they used to kidnap people from the coastal areas. They used to make the sailors captive from the other ships and sold them as slaves. Besides this, the Greeks used to purchase the slaves from the Central Asian barbaric tribes who used to sell their children as slaves. So sometimes people who could not pay back their debts, who could not pay back their loans, they used to become the slaves of other people to whom they were indebted. So uh, these were the sources of slavery. These people. Another thing is that what was the condition of the slaves during the ancient Greek civilization. Now, if we see the condition, if we go through the literature or the documents during that time, we will find that the slaves in Greece were not treated humanly. They were mostly treated as the domestic animals, and they were treated very cruelly. Where if they wanted any kind of freedom, they were treated very cruelly, and the slaves had no rights, absolutely no freedom. Their work depended upon the wish and the whims of their masters, and if they wanted freedom, they would have to purchase their freedom, but they were not entitled to get wages, salaries. Sometimes the kind masters used to pay their salaries, with which sometimes, very seldom, they used to get back their freedom. They used to pay back to pay the amount and get back their freedom. But that was very rare occasion. Mostly they were treated very cruelly, and they had no right to lodge any complaints or appeal at the court of laws. So we can say that the Greeks did not treat their slaves well. Uh, Next we come towards their work. What kind of work they used to do? Mostly the slaves used to work as domestic helps. They used to do all the household work, the cooking, the cleaning, washing, everything they used to do. Sometimes some of the masters, they were so much dependent upon their slaves that they used to hand over their children to be looked after by the slaves. Also, they used to give permission or allowed their slaves to look after their business, so that they could use their free time in discussions, and they used to give the charge of their businesses to their slaves. Sometimes the slaves were engaged in the mining, the coal mines, or the silver mines. They used to they used to be engaged over there. Sometimes, mostly, not sometimes, mostly they were used for the farming purpose, cultivation. And sometimes the slaves, they were learned. If they were learned people, they used to work in the banks also. So these were the professions or the engagements in which the slaves used to help the Greeks. So we can see that the Greek society was totally dependent upon the slave labor. So instead of treating them well, the Greeks did not treat them properly. They were not given good treatment.